Hey guys, it's Alicia. So today I have been canning a bunch of peaches. Now I got a bushel of peaches, and all that I'm left with out of that bushel, which was these 2 boxes right here, is 12 peaches. So that was not enough to really can anymore with, so I decided I would go ahead and make a dessert out of them. And so what I'm going to be making today is kind of a Boozy peach upside down bundt cake. Now, I'm calling it Boozy because it does in fact have 2 types of alcohol in it. Now, you do not have to put that in. It is only going to be about 2 ounces of alcohol, so if you wanted to make this without the alcohol, you absolutely could. You could just substitute with something like juice. Peach would be great. Even something like apple or whatever type of juice that you had on hand you could use. I actually can my peach juice that I end up with from the canning process, and so if I wanted to make this non-alcoholic, I could just put some of this peach juice in it instead. But I did just want to show you this version with the alcohol. The alcohol will burn off once you bake this. Okay, so what you're going to need to make this is, first you're going to need some peaches. Now, I'm going to be using probably about 4 of these. I'm not really sure yet, but I will let you know how many I use. You're also going to need 3 cups all-purpose flour, 1.5 cups granulated sugar, 2 cups packed light brown sugar, and you're going to want to separate these out with 1.5 cups and 1/2 cup. You're also going to need 1 3/4 cups softened butter, and you want to have that separated too into 1.5 cups and 1/4 cup. You're then going to need 6 eggs, an 8-ounce package of cream cheese, some vanilla, and here I have Disaronno and peach whiskey. Now, I love Disaronno. I've used it in several other recipes that I do. It's probably one of my favorite alcohols, but I wanted to use a little bit of peach whiskey too because this is a peach cake. And like I said before, you don't have to use any alcohol if you don't want to. You can definitely substitute with something else like juice. So that is all you're gonna need to make this cake. I may or may not do a glaze for this. I haven't decided yet. If I do, I will definitely show you that and show you what is in that. And with all of my recipe videos, I will have all of the ingredients and the instructions on how to make this down below in the description box. And I did forget, 1/2 teaspoon salt. First thing you're gonna wanna do is get yourself a bundt pan, and then I'm gonna spray it really well with a cooking spray. And this is very important that you get this very well sprayed because you want this cake to come out. I've been using parchment paper with all my cakes lately, but obviously with this type of a cake pan, you can't really do that. So you want to just spray that really well, and then set that aside. You also want to be turning your oven on to 350. So here I have a small saucepan, and I'm gonna just take 1/4 cup of butter, and I'm gonna throw it in here on medium heat, and I'm gonna just let that melt. And while this is melting, I'm gonna go ahead and start washing and peeling. I'm gonna start with 4 peaches and see where that gets me. Okay, this butter is melted, so now I'm gonna add in my 1/2 cup of brown sugar. And I'm gonna just cook this until the sugar and the butter are all melted together and that sugar has completely dissolved. This has been cooking for a couple minutes and it is done. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to pour it into my bundt pan here on the bottom as evenly as I can. And then I'm going to lay my peaches that I've cut up over here. I'm not quite done, but I'm gonna finish cutting those up, and then I'm going to lay them on the bottom. I'll put the ones in right now that I have. So what you wanna do, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have the rounded side on the bottom, and I'm gonna kind of just put them in the grooves of the pan, like that. And then I'm gonna cut up a few more peaches to put kind of in these in-between spots too. Kind of like that, because I just wanna have peaches along the whole bottom of this. So I will be back once I get this done. And that is what it looks like once I put all the peaches in. I ended up just using 3 peaches for this. So the next thing, you're gonna wanna get yourself a mixer. I'm gonna just use my stand mixer. And you're gonna want to put in your cream cheese and your remaining 1.5 cups of butter. And then you're gonna wanna beat this well for probably about a minute or so until it's all nice and creamed together. That is nice and whipped together. So now I'm gonna add in my granulated sugar and my remaining brown sugar. And then I'm gonna just mix this well on medium for a few minutes until this mixture gets kind of light and fluffy. I let that mix for about 3 or 4 minutes. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add my eggs in one at a time. There goes my timer. And mix them just until they're incorporated in there a little bit. Last egg. Now I'm gonna just let that mix until I don't see any more sign of the eggs. Okay, that looks good. And so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just put a little vanilla in. Probably about a teaspoon. And then I'm gonna just let that mix. And then while that's mixing, I'm gonna take my flour here. I'm gonna add a ½ teaspoon of salt to it. And then I'm gonna mix that up really well. Okay, now I'm gonna take the flour and the salt that I just mixed together and I'm gonna pour some in here. Probably about 1/3 of it. And then I'm gonna mix that up. And now I'm gonna add 1 ounce of the Disaronno to this. Mix that up. And now I'm gonna add about another 1/3 of the flour to this, or half at this point. And mix that. And now I'm gonna add 1 ounce of the peach whiskey. Now mix that up. And I'm gonna add the remaining flour. And mix it until it's all incorporated. That looks good. So now I'm gonna take this off and I'm gonna pour it into my Bundt pan. Okay, I'm gonna just try to carefully pour this in without getting those peaches to move too much, which is a little difficult because this is kind of heavy. And then I'm gonna just kind of smooth this out the best I can. Again, I'm trying not to push down too much because I don't want those peaches that are on the bottom to move a whole lot. And that is probably good. So now I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put it in my preheated oven for probably about 1 hour and 20 minutes to start. And then I'm gonna check it with a toothpick. Really, you need something a little longer than a toothpick, but that's all I have. So at about 1 hour and 20 minutes, I will take it out and test it. But you want the toothpick to come out clean, basically. I let this cook for about 1 hour and 25 minutes, and it is looking done, so I pulled it out. And I did test the toothpick and it came out clean. So I pulled this out and I'm gonna let it sit here for, I don't know, probably 20 to 30 minutes to cool down just a little bit. And then I'm gonna flip it out of the pan here because I don't wanna get it stuck in there. And I'm gonna flip it out onto a wire rack and just let it cool on that wire rack for probably about 2 hours. So I will be back once I've got this flipped out and cooled, because I have decided I am gonna make a glaze for it. So I will show you how I make the glaze and what the final cake looks like. Okay, our cake is cooled, and so now I'm gonna go ahead and make up a really quick kind of glaze for this. And as you can see there, I've just got some powdered sugar, some vanilla, more booze, and a little bit of peach juice. And I'm kind of just gonna wing this and see what I end up with for glaze, but it should be good. So I'm gonna start with a cup of powdered sugar, about a half teaspoon of vanilla. I'm gonna do an ounce of peach juice. And this is just the peach juice that I had from my canned peaches. An ounce of peach whiskey. And an ounce of Disaronno. I'm gonna just start with that and see where my texture is. Now, obviously, if you don't want to use alcohol, you would use milk in this instead. And as you can see, that is way too liquidy. I don't ever make glaze, so like I said, I'm winging this. So I'm gonna go ahead and just dump probably
half cup.
We'll do, yeah, about a half cup in there and see how that works. But it smells really good. This is what it looks like right now. I'll let my husband taste it. Like I said, it smells really good. It's still a little watery looking to me. It just tastes like pure alcohol.
No, it doesn't at all.
Oh.
That's probably pretty good. I mean,
Okay.
you know, I tend to overdo it.
Okay, I'm gonna call that good. So
I don't know if you remember the margaritas or the
2 cups of tequila instead of 1 or whatever that was. Yeah.
Oh, look at that flower arrangement somebody got you.
Yeah,
Somebody loves you.
Pretty florals there. So there is my cake that I've cooled, and I have a piece of parchment under it just because I didn't want it to stick to my cooling rack. But I've let this cool for about 2 hours, maybe a little bit less. But it's definitely cool to the touch. So now I'm gonna take this icing and I'm gonna just drizzle it over this cake.
Oh yeah, girl.
Drizzle that.
Drizzle that. Drizzle.
That's so good.
Glaze, I mean.
And again, this is, in my opinion, too thin, but I'm not one that makes glaze. That was actually just kind of like drenching into the cake, so I'm gonna add more flour, make it a little powdered sugar, not flour, to make it a little more.
Flour definitely thicken it up.
Yeah, exactly. A little more thick, so it's not just soaking in the cake. Obviously, I want it to sit on top of the cake. Okay, that was about another half cup. We're gonna call that good, because it's not the most important part of this. Anyway, drizzle attempt number 2. All right, now I'm gonna cut a piece of this and let my hubby try it. He's already been picking at the side of it, so he already knows it's good. And since it's on that parchment, it's gonna come off nicely. So there it is. Okay. And try a bite.
heavenly.
Heavenly. It is very good. It's very buttery. It's rich because of that cream cheese and all the butter and the sugar in it.
Don't mind me.
It's getting little crumbs out of his beard that are falling.
That's the price to pay for
Saving it for later.
beard glory.
So what's it taste like to you? Do you taste the alcohol in it? That's one question.
I don't.
Okay.
Not individually. It could be adding, you know, obviously it's adding to the flavor.
Yeah, I think it adds to the peach flavor actually. The peaches kind of brings
But
up
to
peach.
me, it's got almost like a toffee flavor. It's really good because it's kind of silky. The texture is kind of silky. And that flavor, it's hard. It's hard for me to describe.
But definitely good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is like one of the best desserts I think I've ever had.
Oh, well, that's good. All right. Well, you heard it from him. My Boozy peach upside down bundt cake. And to me, it's similar to a upside down cake, pineapple upside down cake, because it's got that butter and brown sugar. With the fruit in it, it's just not got pineapple, which my husband hates pineapple. So this is the type of upside down cake that he actually likes. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.